morning and welcome to the NuSpecian live Q&A. I'm Jillian.
And Aston, good morning, morning.
Thank you all for being here. For those of you who are new to NuSpecies, I will just let you know we are a natural health company. We invent and manufacture our own unique line of plant-based supplements and herbal medicine. These formulas are designed to be very potent and are very high quality, all with the goal of helping your body be as resilient against the toughest of health challenges. We also, as a company, have a use our 18 years of experience for integrative health consulting because many of you who come to us are already utilizing medical treatment, needing medical interventions, but you still want to live your best natural lifestyle. And those two things don't have to be opposed to each other. So we help you along the way to figure out how to get the best out of both worlds. Lastly, a good health choice for one person may not be a good health choice for someone else. And that is why we host this Q&A every Saturday at 10 a.m. to help you get the answers that you need for your questions that will help you continue along your own unique health journey. So thank you so much for being with us here today. I'll say good morning to Ronald and Donna and Michael and Fitzgerald. Thank you all for being here. Please feel free to say hi. You don't have to have any questions today, but although, that's the only reason we're here. So it would be good if you did. But still say hi to us. We always see the numbers of how many people are actually watching, but we know that not as many are commenting, and maybe you're driving, which we understand you shouldn't be chatting us while you're driving. But we are so excited to be here with you today. We have some things that we can talk about, but we would prefer to just answer your questions. So what's on your mind? What is stressing you out? Hey, Joyce. Hey, Mark. Is there anything new concerning you this week with your health? Are you taking NuSpecies formulas and maybe a question popped in your head and you were wondering, I've never asked that before. You want to ask? Maybe you just started a new protocol with us and you are confused because we know that we explain things to you over the phone and then you go home and you're like, what was that again? That's totally normal. I wrote a new article last night that we posted this morning. Went out in the email. It's on the blog. It's on the app.
Beautiful, well written. Beautifully well written. You all should take a peek at it.
Thank you, darling. Yeah. I've been grappling with how to explain that concept for years, and I'm hoping that's the best version yet. I'm sure I will keep perfecting it.
But tell us about the article.
Oh.
Yeah, you don't have to read it, but just give us 30 seconds.
Okay.
What it's about.
All right. So my article is called Basics Before Best. And the idea is that when it comes to marketing supplements, there's thousands of different products that all seem to hyper focus on one enzyme or one vitamin or one mineral or one aspect of your health or your body, one organ, one muscle, one health goal. And it's obviously easier to market that way. It's easier to make and sell products that way to make profit. But that's actually not how the body works. And that's not how the human body interacts with our natural habitat. It's more, although it's more complicated than that, it's actually the simpler version, which is that when we consume plants in their whole form, we are getting the full range of all of those vitamins and minerals and enzymes and phytonutrients and phytochemicals and all of these things that are being sold to us in 50 different bottles in a health food store or online.
At least 50 different bottles.
They actually are all contained in the food.
Yeah.
And so as we are pursuing what we think is the best thing for my immune system, the best thing for building muscle, the best thing for my skin, we often go down these rabbit holes where we're just hyper targeting one component that either was extracted from something natural or most likely was just made in a lab and is replicating something natural, yielding a range of results, usually not that effective. And so we are often overlooking the basics. So there's many times that we are sacrificing the small, consistent things we should be doing every single day that support our body in a really powerful way in order to hyper focus on one nutrient or one health goal or one organ,
Hmm.
whatever's worrying us the most. And marketing makes us very susceptible to that because we're like, oh, I want my skin to be smoother. I need that supplement. And then the next day you see, and they, well, I want more muscle tone. I need that supplement. Meanwhile, we're not looking at our labs. We're not addressing whether we actually have deficiencies. We're not looking at our diet and our water intake and our stress levels and our sleeping patterns. We're not looking at all these other things that actually are the fundamental basics that have to be in place, and then whatever's still left over, you could then choose to maybe therapeutically hyper target. But we feel NuSpecies mostly falls under the category of those basic fundamentals that you do every day to support your body as a whole, to let your body do everything that it can do for you.
And that's what the body needs.
Right.
Just the basic, believe it or not. It doesn't need extraordinary truckloads of carrots and beans and peas and broccoli. No, just very small portions, very basic, as you say, it has the nutrients that our bodies need, and to the other point you made, every health issue we have comes with a complication. Every health issue has a complication. So, and the issue could just be tiredness. Just it could be aches and pains. It doesn't have to be diabetes or high blood pressure or cancer. It could just be aches and pains. The body's telling you something. Something is wrong. Maybe inflammation is building up. Maybe the immune system is weak. Maybe you're getting attacked by chemicals or viruses or bacteria. So that's why the singular nutrient will never work. And you all know that. And one of the things you said in your article,
But do we all know that? Because I feel
well,
like it's just like when you see it, nutrients or nutrition being promoted in only one way from your doctor and your chiropractor and Facebook and TikTok and your GNC and your local health food store, it is hard to be like, what? To question that. It seems like
well,
that is the right way.
true. But my point was going to be, if you all walk to your pantry right now, maybe you all have new species. You don't do what I used to do. But if you came to my pantry 25 years ago, before I created new species, you would find at least 10, 15 different brands of multivitamins that I had been taking I've been using these brands for years. And then I just gave up on one. I stopped taking a bottle half of the way or three-quarters of the way and go to another brand, just trying to find something that works that never works. None of those things ever worked.
Mm.
So we know the position people are in out there, and that's why we make our formulas the way we make them. They're from Whole Foods, and maybe you should define Whole Foods and define raw, because I still have clients ask me, why do they have to be raw? Why do they have
Mm.
to be whole food?
Mm.
Yes, very smart people still ask me those questions in consultation.
All right. Well, I tried to write this up for our team and it was 18 pages. So it's
You were
very
writing a
difficult.
book.
Yeah, I seriously. I mean, it's a whole. I mean, it's to me, it's like the scientific or the original or the only way to actually talk about nutrition and supplementation. But it's that it seems to be the only way that isn't talked about it. And like I said, when it comes to companies trying to sell a product and market it, it is much easier to hyper focus on just one nutrient or one body system.
Mhm.
And I do believe a lot of these companies, especially because I know very well intended doctors and brilliant people that I admire who also think this way about supplements. So I would assume these companies also think that they're providing something that's helpful. And I'm not going to say it's never helpful. I think there are use cases for more therapeutically targeting one nutrient in your body. But to me, that's after you've already done all the other stuff. It's kind of like when you're cooking, like don't put the salt in until the end, until you taste it and see how much you really need. That would be like front loading all the salt when you're cooking, not knowing how much you really are going to end up needing. So it's the same thing. Like get the basics right, and then season as necessary with other things, and we can help you with that by looking at your labs and seeing what you really need.
Right. And education doesn't matter. We have doctors, medical doctors. We have other some of the most educated people in the world who take new species, and they truly don't know the first thing about nutrition. So nutrition is not about education. It's about, the people who study it, the people who practice it, the people who know about it. The world is specialized. Everyone, is specialized now. The medical field is almost completely specialized. And I was talking to this gentleman, just to go off a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
tell you a quick story about this gentleman this week. Not going to say his name. He had heart failure. He was diagnosed with heart failure a few years ago. And then recently he got a stroke. And then, he used to take NuSpecies when we were down in Brooklyn. And he said, okay, he went to the location, didn't find us. So he called us up and he started taking NuSpecies this past week. So I have a startup, not going to say his name, but just going to tell you it could apply to everybody, literally, who is listening right now or watching or who will listen. He's taking 4 different medication. So he has dizziness and fainting
Mm-hmm.
and fainting spells
Mm-hmm.
when he came to us. In addition to just had a stroke, can barely speak.
Oh, wow.
He's very angry with himself because he can't speak. He's going to lose his job. That makes him even more anxious, and his condition just probably get a little bit worse because of all that stress. But the point I'm making is that he's taking 4 different medication. He's taking Lipitor. He's taking Entresto for heart issues. He's taking Corig, and he's taking Eliquis. 4 different medication, 4 different doctors. And I said to him, I said, my friend, you're having all this crazy dizziness and weakness and fatigue. I just took a quick look at the medication you're taking, and each one caused all those symptoms.
Oh, boy.
And he's gone to different specialists, and none of them are picking it up.
Mm,
So,
that's frustrating.
and this gentleman is a very educated man. He's an engineer, one of the big engineers in New York City. And the point is, education doesn't matter; it's knowledge or expertise that matter. So, as you were saying about, um, you know, taking vitamins, whether the people think they're getting high quality or not, how do you know it's high quality? Who is going into any store and say, I want high quality and have those 4 or 5 things
Mm-hmm.
that would define high quality? How many of us are doing that? I
Oh,
would
yeah.
doubt, I would doubt not one of us are doing that.
And how do you even define that, right? So we have our own definition of it, but
Based on how we make our formulas.
yeah, I mean we see some of these like fancy supplements that are claiming to have like glutathione and antioxidants and things that really only your body should be creating on its own. And so it's like
Mhm.
somehow how are they putting that in a bottle? Maybe there's some really fancy science behind it, but in the end, a rose by any other name would smell as sweet. It's like just because it has the same name, is it actually doing the thing we expect from that antioxidant?
Right. And
So
I have doctors who are doing that. I
mm,
have a doctor, not going to say where he buys, but he buys NuSpecies, and he just figured out that he's been had with his glutathione, that
mhm,
it wasn't good, it wasn't real, it was a compound.
mhm,
And a lot of you out there doing the same thing with different supplements, whether it's
mhm,
glutamate or calcium, all these singular, as you were
mhm,
saying, ingredients, they work in a family of proteins and enzymes, people. And that's the key. The foods we eat should have their family of vitamins and proteins and enzymes. Without those,
and fiber.
and fiber, without those, we're not
Yeah.
going to it's not going to get digested. It's going to become a free radical. It's going to become chemical. It's going to be harmful to the stomach and the liver. It
Mhm,
will be, not maybe. And if you have good genes and DNA, yes, your body will be able to produce the enzyme to purge it out or to liquefy it into carbon dioxide and water. That's how our body eliminates some of these compounds and chemicals. But if your body is not strong enough, it's going to hurt you. And if you have other health issues, you're taking medication, you're taking all these compounds are going to hurt you. Not may, they
Yeah,
will.
and actually, when where it can start to get confusing, again, it's all about how you define it. So, most calcium supplements, you could say they're natural because they come from rock,
Rocks.
from limestone, calcium carbonate, calcium citrate. These
Yeah,
are
my ancestors used to use calcium carbonate to build the pyramids, just so you all remember that. Oh, it's true. They
we
use
don't,
it to harden the cement.
yeah, which we're not exactly looking to happen in our bodies.
Well, it does that. It can cause calcification. So those of you who are you go to your doctor, you do your CTs, and the doctors say you have kidney stones, you have gallstones, you have all these calcification in the ovary, the prostate, different organs. That's calcified. Calcified means calcium. It means undigested, unused calcium particles floating around the body. And that you all should know now. If you have high calcium and your lab report or low calcium, you're likely developing cancer. That's how deadly calcium is.
So you could say that, well, this is natural, and technically it is, but it's not
Right.
it's not actually the right type of natural or delivery system
Right.
for our body. So
Right.
for example, NuSpecies calcium comes from algae. And so it's a plant source, and it's much more it's bioavailable to the body. It assimilates properly into the body. It's actually only beneficial, not harmful. And so we can go on with each individual
Ingredients
ingredients, or
or
like when I
nutrient.
say whole food, in most cases with our formulas, I'd say like 99% of our products, if you read the ingredients, you're going to see the names of food. And that's what we mean by whole food, is that the actual plants, the little plant particles, are what's floating in the vegetable glycerin, and that's what you're taking when you drink our products.
Right.
Now,
And the last testing result I looked at, I haven't looked at them in a while because there's no need to. They always come out to be around the same. They have up to 97, sometimes 98 or 99, but the least, when we extract a plant, the extraction that we have done, it has at least 97.8% of that plant in this bottle. So if you see we have an ingredient in our formula that we extract from a plant, it's having at least 97.8% of that plant. That is extraordinary. Well, that tells you that whatever that 1 or 2% over is just in the fiber that you just can't get out of the fiber because some fiber, the plant, whether it's the bark or the leaves, they're very strong fiber. You just can't get it out. So that's what we mean by raw, and that's what we mean by whole food. You're getting all the enzymes, the amino acid, the phytonutrients Jillian mentioned. You're getting all these different enzymes and proteins that our bodies need to properly digest that piece of food, or in this case, NuSpecies, that nutrient. And if the calcium, the magnesium, all these things you're taking don't have that, your body will not digest it.
right. You might see your blood levels go up, but I think it's just because the stuff is in your blood, not because it's actually you're actually receiving the benefits of having consumed it.
Right. Right. You're
Yeah.
exactly right. It's in the blood, it's in the cells. So your vitamin D will go up to 100 if you're taking those 20,000, 50,000 IUs. But what's going to happen is that within a month or two, you check your vitamin D again, it's going to plunge unless you're still taking that high IU dosage.
Which you
What
can't. So you
which
shouldn't take it
Right.
very long.
And that's why the doctors limit how long you should take it. So it gets into the cells, and guess what? The cellular respiration, the cell is not going to use it because it's chemical. It can't break it down because it's a chemical.
Right.
Yeah.
Lastly, I will define raw. When I say raw, what we mean is that we have not exposed our plant ingredients to heat while we manufacture our products. So, even other supplement companies who are doing the best that they can using all whole foods, they are even, well, yeah, let's say they're using all whole foods. If they process those ingredients with heat, which most companies do, you're now going to have a useless result. Maybe there's still some minerals left, but mostly the vitamins, enzymes, all the things that help deliver those minerals safely and effectively into your body are going to be damaged and ineffective. Now, some companies actually do whole food and raw, but then they put it in a tablet. and those tablets are very unlikely to break down in your small intestine,
Mm-hmm.
which is where you absorb those nutrients. They may break down by the time they get to your large intestine and colon, but then you're not absorbing the nutrients. So, um, the delivery system, again, not appropriate, which is why we make it a point as often as possible to stick with whole food ingredients, raw ingredients, and liquid form. And that's what makes our products potent, separately from the fact that we formulate them potent, right, with higher doses of the herbs. And when we do extract vitamins from a natural source, we make sure we put well beyond the FDA recommended value, which I can explain later. But we formulate them potent, but then they remain that potency is persistent because we don't do anything during manufacturing that would reduce it. And we work with the FDA very often. They're at least every 6 months doing a full audit of our whole operation in our manufacturing facility. And they will often say how impressed they are that the nutrient profile of the raw ingredient, when it first comes in from our supplier, when we do a full test, we do the HPTLC testing, which is more advanced and more detailed than your standard
I'm
testing.
so,
Ooh,
I,
I'm on a roll here.
okay, keep
Um,
going.
it shows the nutrient profile of those ingredients.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you do the same testing of the final product that we are getting approved to send to you,
Mm-hmm.
you see the same potency of nutritional profile in the end product. And our FDA folks we've worked with over the years say that never happens. The end product is safe, but no longer actually effective.
Mm-hmm.
And for NuSpecies, that is, we're both safe and effective, which is really, really unique in the supplement industry, unfortunately. But fortunately for you, because you're here with us.
Well, I was gonna say, this is something that we should put out more because I still have a lot of our clients and doctors who challenge me that the FDA cares about anything that we do.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I would tell them that the FDA just walks in. They don't make an appointment
Oh, yeah.
because they want to catch you doing something wrong. They just walk in. They
Mm-hmm.
knock the door, and that door better be opened
Mm-hmm.
when they show up. So,
Yeah, and actually their standards is very interesting, but there's just sort of this spectrum of all the things that they check, and every agent could take that spectrum to a different level or not. So you never know what you're going to get. Like a lot of what we have to follow falls within a range,
mhm,
and we follow it to the strictest of the standards. But you could legally follow them a little less strictly. But if you get an agent who is like they holding you to those standards, then you're gonna have problems. So we just anytime there's gray area, we just go to the most conservative possible interpretation of it for our standards.
right. So that's it for raw foods and whole foods. Now let's throttle it back a little bit, Jillian.
Mhm.
So now you're all thinking, do I have to eat my yellow yam? And for those of you who are Americans, our yam, what we call yam in the Caribbean is different from what you call yams here. We have white yam and yellow yam in the Caribbean, and those yam you can't eat them raw. It'll burn your tongue off. Literally, they're very acidic. You have to boil them. So I'm getting to certain foods now that have to be boiled. You just can't
Mhm.
eat them raw because it's not healthy to eat them raw. They're too acidic. But even when you boil certain foods, you're still going to get, certain minerals like magnesium and calcium and iron and a lot of different of those bigger mineral, larger mineral, larger portion of minerals. You'll get those. But you now have to decide what foods you're going to eat raw to get all the nutrients you need to support the cooked foods, just the pure minerals that you're getting, because you still need to do some foods as raw to get those
Mhm.
enzymes and protein, because the heat by
Mhm.
cooking them will destroy them, like vegetables. And I've advocated before here that sweet potato, which are called yams here, but, in the Caribbean we call them potatoes, sweet potato. Those can be eaten raw. As a kid, I used to eat sweet potato raw.
Yeah, Mary was saying that sure her daughters eat it raw and they love it. They're obsessed. She tries to cook it and they're like, "Oh, can I have some now?"
Right.
um, and really the key there is just to eat a huge diversity of vegetables and fruits. and plant-based foods.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
again, we get harmed by the marketing with which tells us that this one thing is the superfood. This, even kale, which is truly a superfood. If you just ate kale all day every day, you'd still be lacking a lot of nutrition.
Absolutely.
So what you really need to do is aim for like upwards of 30 to 50 different plant-based foods every single week. And then you will, and if some of those are raw and some of them are cooked and some of them are fermented, you will actually get a nice diversity of what you're looking for. And that helps cover a lot of gaps where maybe some of your buying is organic and some of it isn't. Some of it's from that better quality grocery store and then some of it isn't. And if you aim for a huge diversity, you can really give yourself a nice base with your diet. And then a new species on top of that is like, yeah, you're in good shape.
Right.
June says, my chiropractor has plant-based supplements, but they're tablets. It's hard to explain new species to him. And I agree,
It's
it's
hard for us to
it's hard
explain
for
this
us.
feature to you.
We're 18 years in and it's hard to explain new species. It is. We are working on it really hard because even with our
Yeah.
team,
Yeah.
when they are trying to talk to you and then they come to us and they're like, gosh, I don't think I did explain that well. And I'm like, yeah, I know we struggle with it too. It's because it's so much of it is conversational. It's hard because to explain our products, you need to unexplain all of the incorrect nutritional information that's out there that you can't just say it in like a sentence.
No, we have always had the issue
Yeah.
challenging the industry
Yeah.
because the industry practices that came out in the 40s and 50s, they still dominate, the mainstream world, and a lot of it is wrong, very wrong. And we're trying to convince you, well, everyone, that science, physics, and chemistry, Jillian mentioned earlier, have corrected a lot of those norms, and now they're wrong, but because they have become part of culture, that culture is helping to destroy us, destroy your children and your grandchildren. And that's why I've always said it. I have more parents bringing in their sick children than parents bringing in their sick selves. The children are more sick than the parents, and in some cases, the grandparents, who are 2, 3 times their ages. So, and that's a trend that we've seen.
Yes. Yes. The younger folks are struggling more. I'm right in the middle of that.
Well, we have it at home too with our kids. We have it's a tug of war. It's wrestling to get them to eat healthy food sometimes, because whatever you teach at home, they go to school and they learn something different, and suddenly we're evil parents because we don't allow them to eat what their friends are eating.
Yeah.
And if their friends have play dates and they come over, some of them might have food, and you say, oh, that's what they eat. So how do you win? You don't win without incurring the wrath of your children, but you have to incur that wrath.
Yeah.
You can't let them get away with it, because they're going to grow up with very, very weak DNA and genes, the very foundations of life.
Right. And at least for us, our children will take new species. That's not really much of a problem. They go through phases where they'll be a little bit resistant, but mostly they're always taking something from new species. So I don't know if that compensates for some of the really damaging foods that are out there, but we
Maybe a
certainly
little,
feel much
but not
better
enough.
that
Yeah.
yeah, and they're very active. And we're very, very strict with devices and screens, so they're not sedentary. But like we say all the time on the show, we're focusing on food, let's say, in this conversation, but at the same time that we're like, well, maybe some Cheetos once in a while isn't going to kill them, but that's not all they're being exposed to. They're being exposed to the pollution in the air and the stuff in the water,
Right.
and the
that
toxins
we can control. You
Right.
can control.
Right. The
Yeah.
toxins in the furniture and the paint on the walls and the rugs at school and whatever. I mean, there's so much that our bodies are contending with. The things we can control are really very high stakes to get it right.
And yes,
Yeah.
June, we can control whether we do tablets that are very difficult to break down or digest, or we do liquid. We do have capsules. You want to talk about the capsules?
Sure. Yeah. So when we do have capsules, it's usually for very strategic reasons. The couple of products we put in capsules. So, for example, the detox, which also is in powder, which I
Hmm.
will give a little testimonial about that and
Oh boy.
at some point in the show. The those are also encapsulated. Our capsules are veggie based, so they are not they're going to dissolve very easily. In fact, if you just hold them in your hand too long, they'll start getting sticky.
Right. They suck and socky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so those dissolve very easily, not a problem. But the detox powder is very bitter, so there are some people who really just need it in the capsules. The MSM, which is an amazing source of sulfur, but we all know what sulfur smells like. So if that were just in a powdered form, people would really struggle to get it down. So that is encapsulated, again, veggie capsules. The vitamin DNA, which is a wild caught raw Norwegian cod liver oil, also smelly and difficult for people to stomach liquid. So we do have that in veggie capsules as well. Although we are looking into getting it in a liquid form because some people do suggest that. Um, what else is in capsules? Is that it?
I think that's it.
Yeah. So sometimes we strategically do have to adjust a little bit of our and people I'll always say liquid, and then our employees are like, but all of our products aren't liquid. I'm like, I know, but they could be, or they get dissolved into water. So essentially liquid, but that's we do our best to keep to those standards, and then anything that falls outside that is usually for a very strategic reason. So those are capsules, and then yeah, so the I say the cod liver oil is an example where it's not a plant-based. We are doing more research with our team to see if we can do a plant-based vitamin D source. But that we want to, it takes a long time for us to produce new products because just sourcing from suppliers is insanely difficult. Um, because our suppliers have to verify with the farmers, and every step of the way, as you're vetting the quality of the ingredients, there's room for contamination, there's room for alteration, and by the time it gets to us, we have to test again and often find it's not what they claimed it was, and so it's a lengthy and expensive process.
I'm reading something
Oh,
here.
June wanting to be
No, no,
adopted.
no.
Oh,
I know we're on our soapbox here, but
oh, that was me. Aston's catching up in the chat.
yeah. So
Am I
okay.
boring you that you're reading the chat?
No, 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 no. So we're here for you. So if you don't ask questions, that's what we do. We try to just give you additional information about new species or the new species culture, how we make the formulas, and we Jill is just taking us through a lot of the value
Yeah.
processes that we use to make sure the products are safe and sound when they get to you.
And actually, June said, I cringe when I see my family buy over the counter supplements. Happy they're trying to do something good, but
Mhm.
and I was like, imagine how we feel because our family still does that. Most I would say I think I have more family members who actively buy and use new species than Aston does. But yeah, it
I hope
is.
my family is listening.
It is tough. It is tough. Like, how do you explain? You can't because they're going to hit you back with all those standard things that now you have to try to debunk, and it's like you're constantly on the defensive. It's really hard. I mean, in our from our perspective, we just try to live by example. I watch all those other family members suffer with a lot of health problems. And I'm not to say that if they just took new species, they wouldn't have them. There's so many things that contribute to health problems. And certainly I have my own struggles that if it weren't for new species, I'd probably be way worse off. But it's like I know how much better they probably could be. And they're
People are
already
just ignorant, in my family. I hope they're all listening right now. It's ignorance.
right.
Just
But that's the
ignorance
point that June
because
is making is like, how do you overcome ignorance just to explain the value of new species? And it's hard. And
right.
this is why we need to hear from you because, we'd rather not go out there and pay for ads and, do advertising and stuff. We'd rather just have you help us reach more people. And if you're feeling like you don't know how to explain it, that means we're not doing our job. So we need to figure out how to help you explain new species. Yeah. So it's
And
good
the
to know that you feel that way.
and the ignorance is the culture. The culture is phenomenally great, but when it comes to certain things, it's just not there.
Yeah. And we don't expect people to know this stuff. What we do is weird. Me and Aston are the
Weirdos.
weirdos in our family.
Yeah.
So that probably doesn't help our case. um, One last thing I was going to say to your point was milk
Which point?
thistle, about how certain plants need some heat to be able to break them down to consume them. That does happen with milk thistle. So milk thistle
No, no,
is
no, that's not what I was saying. What I was saying was that, like yams, they're extremely acidic. And if you just touch it, touch, if you cut a piece of yam and you touch it and rub it on your hand, it started to burn. It
oh,
just itch.
really?
Like what do you call that crazy weed that you have here?
Dandelion?
No, the one
Oh,
that burns, it itches a lot.
poison ivy.
Yeah, poison
Oh,
ivy.
oh, oh,
It's
oh.
like poison ivy.
No.
Oh
What
yeah,
kind of yam?
it's called yam, yellow yam, white yam. And Fitzgerald, help me out here. Yellow yam, white yam. We have different type of yams. They're like 10 different types of yam.
Right. So that's when you say yam. I don't know.
Yeah,
Because like you said, we would think of a sweet potato when you say yam.
I got to
So
get the scientific names. I don't know what the scientific
there is
names
one
are.
too, but
I
there's
eat.
that when you cut into it, it like oozes a lot of stuff. What is that? Like jicama or not jicama? What's it called? Cassava? Cassava, yeah. But it feels very rough and but anyway, what I'm
But yeah,
saying
well,
is
you have to use the heat to dissolve the acidic chemicals that are in
yes,
for it to drain
you
out.
wouldn't eat it raw.
So you wouldn't eat it raw.
Right. But well, what I'm saying is, for example, milk thistle is the one thing we do sell that is not raw because it does require some amount of heat to actually process it and get it into its liquid form.
Mhm.
But the good news there is the active ingredients in milk thistle that have it give it the benefits to our liver are actually minerals, not the vitamins. So minerals are not harmed by heat and therefore and we use as low heat as possible, so we still find it to be extremely effective that way. But that would be the one thing that we can't say is raw in the same way that others are.
Okay.
Yeah, so anyway, we could go on and on about every individual
I
product,
I
but
hope this was helpful though for all of you. And we're doing education to ensure that you can, when you talk with friends and family, you can explain the species, what we do, how we do it. So this is all education for you as well, because we know you all are missionaries trying to help your family and friends.
yes,
Yeah.
and part of that too could just be buying them a B vitamins for this holiday season.
Well, let's talk
And
about that. Holiday is coming up.
make them just take it and then they will see the difference and then you don't have to explain anything, the product will do the talking for you.
If you have family members who have high blood pressure or diabetes or high cholesterol or cancer or whatever issues they have, come on. You're not going to buy them a shirt, a wallet, a shoe. Come on, you're not going to do that, right? You're going to enhance their health. And it took me a long time to talk, like I talk about my family just now. I know it comes off as negative, but it's love. It's love.
Because we want to be helpful.
I buried
Mm.
I buried two relatives this year
And one last year.
and one last year. And one of them that died when he was in the hospital, he called me and he was asking me what to do. What should he take? But guess what? He was not only far away, he was far away across the seas, and it was too late.
Mm-hmm.
It was way too late. Even if I were going to ship him something, he would never gotten him in time. In fact, we did send him something. But when I get tough with my relatives, when you hear me talk about my relatives tough, is because I see them in the coffin, in their coffins, and I said, maybe you shouldn't have been there. Maybe there was more you could have done. And that's how I feel. And I'm sure that's how you all feel. So we're all gonna die, but we want to die because we did everything to help ourselves. And when that time comes, we should be saying to ourselves, okay, I'm ready to go home to my Lord. I did everything I needed to do, and he's ready. But sometimes the Lord may not be ready. Maybe you are not ready. We're not ready. Maybe because we have done a lot more to you used the word a while ago, something like the genius in our bodies, the intelligence in our bodies. That's what God put in there for our bodies to heal itself. Sometimes we have to do some of the work. We have to give the body what it needs.
Right. And maybe we're going to end the show in a similar way that we ended last week. Just because after we stopped, Mary brought up something that I was like, "Oh my gosh, I never thought of it that way."
Hmm.
But we were saying how sometimes the best way to really appreciate and fight for your life is to plan your death. And we should all be planning our death because there's so much about death we can't control, but there are major decisions that we can, whether it is our will or
What's the name of that area of study? Planning death.
planning death.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that going to be a new model or module for new species?
Well, there are people who professionally consult with folks to yeah, to plan their deaths.
Okay.
It might be, I don't know how much they go into like the practical side of it, if it's more emotional and spiritual, but
Mhm.
there are things that like if I have control, I'd like to be outside or I'd like to hear this music or
You mean
I
your funeral planning?
no, you're dying. So like
Oh,
if you're sick and you're dying and I would rather be at home, I would want to hear this
okay.
music playing,
Right.
I would want to make sure that so and so and so
Yeah.
is with me, or I'd want to be alone, or I'd like to see these flowers for the last time, or
You're
it
giving me chills.
sorry. But those are things we may have options about, and as much as we can plan it out and put in writing, we should. And there is obviously things like a will and a trust because that makes you think about a lot of things, who really is important to you in your life, who you want to have certain things. And it makes
More
you
peaceful.
it first of all, it does bring a level of peace and comfort.
Hmm.
Even in talking with my mom about this, she brought up things I never would have thought of. She was like, "Don't let me die without some makeup on." Like, that is the last thing I would think of, but that was really important to her. And she was like, "I have a certain blouse I'd like to be wearing, like, not in my coffin. I don't want anyone to see me dead in a coffin," which I also would not have thought of. I thought she would have wanted like an open casket kind of wake, but she doesn't
Wow.
want that. So
What?
these are things that but like while she's dying, she's like, "I'd like to look nice." And I'm like, "Okay, I could do that for you." I would never think that that's something that she would want. So if you if
Mm,
you think about end of life, it really makes you value the life that you're living, and it makes you think very carefully
I
about
agree.
the intention you're placing and what you're doing with your time every single day. So you can kind of put to rest all those things about death because you're like, all right, everything I can control, I have written down my intentions. I know what I want for myself, and people who love me know what I want to. And now you can get back to the business of living and being really excited about it. Having said that, Mary brought up after the show last week that she was saying, it's harder for, especially in American culture, for us to think about death because we really outsource it. We don't see it ourselves. We mostly put our elderly in nursing homes. I'm not saying there aren't good reasons for that in some cases, but maybe it's a little bit more widely accepted that it should be. We don't keep our elders around and nurse them into their death. So when we don't do that, our children don't see it either with their grandparents. And so we don't think about death,
they grow up thinking that's the way it should be
that you
done.
hide death, you push it away, you don't
Hmm.
experience it. And it makes it harder to really appreciate your life when you don't actually witness death.
Hmm.
It's an important, I think, part of human experience.
No,
And
I think it is.
mhm.
I think it is, and we've had a lot of clients over the years who, and now more so because of how we engage with our clients. At the very detailed, intimate level, we engage with our clients, as you all know, and clients now, would say to us, I don't want to have pain. They want to die comfortably. They don't want pain. The medication they're getting from their doctors are not working, or they don't want it because it causes side effects and make them feel they're sick already. And so we get a lot of that.
Yeah, and
And
actually, Aspen
and
is building like an entire portion of our business now that is around palliative care. And although we're happy to be part of anyone's journey in life, even if it's at the end, this does show you how much people put off making important decisions for their health until it's really in the end. When we would love to be part of your journey from way before that ever happens.
right, and my point to that is, don't wait until the chemo has destroyed your body before you come to us. Don't wait until the radiation, the surgery, the organs are cut out, the radiation have destroyed. so much of your DNA, your genes, your cells, your organs. Don't wait that long. If you have an early diagnosis, come to us now. Let us help you get your body back in shape. Let's give you more time. Let's give your body more life. That's what we have been, thinking of because of all the clients who come to us and they want to go. Some of them, they want to go, and they want to go peacefully, not in pain, not in misery, not in worry, not in anxiety. And I I didn't think of that until, clients would speak with me one on one without their families, and they would bring that up.
Mm,
And it's astounding.
right.
It's almost that we are becoming a spiritual company because that's what it's coming down to.
Mhm.
And when I say spiritually, I mean we all have that something in us, that love in us. We all have that love in us, and we have it for our family, our friends, and we want to die with that love intact, not in pain, not in tatters.
Mm,
And that's what I see happening
mm.
to a lot of clients who come to us over the years. They go painfully, they go miserably,
Well, actually, and I asked you this about your mom.
and they go, like you said, some of them, go in what I call the industrial complex of the medical system.
Mhm.
And you all have different names for it. Jillian mentioned one of the names that you have for it. They go in this cold place with people they don't know.
Mm,
And that happened to one of my relative last year. They died, and they had no loved ones around, no children, no grandchildren, and they do have, and they die there alone. To me, if that is not inhuman, I don't know what is.
mhm. Well, I've been researching.
I mean,
Mhm.
I look at my kids. We're going off personal now, and I love it. I look at my kids. I have four, and I look at what I have to do to school them, to clothe them, to feed them.
Mhm.
And then for me to grow old and sick, and they stick me into some cold place where they come visit me for half an hour, and then they leave.
Mhm.
If that's not inhuman, I don't know what is. I'm hoping my kids would never do that. But I've had many clients who have have experienced that
Mhm.
from their children and grandchildren. All right.
In some of my recent research where science and spirituality connect, where it's like studying the science behind spirituality, one of the things that I came across that I thought was really interesting was that the opposite of love is actually not hate, it's fear. That when we have fear, and then obviously I'm talking specifically about fear around death, it's harder to feel it's harder to experience love,
Mm-hmm.
and love, and not just like for each other, but for ourselves, the peace that comes with love, the warmth that comes with feeling loved and having love for the natural process of life and whatever comes after. And so like you said, Aston, like if where there's fear, there's suffering. And when there's love, there is less suffering. So if you can do anything to reduce fear around death, you can experience less. Um, you can experience less suffering. And so, obviously, we try to be that loving force in your life, because some of our clients, we're the only that they're
Where
alone and
we
they
are the
have us.
final step for a lot of our clients. We are the final step for them to have a chance to keep living. And I say that very directly to all of you because it's true. They come to us, and their relatives, their family members come to us, their spouses come to us, their children come to us, their grandchildren come to us. And they say the doctors have said there's nothing else they can do for them, even though the relatives are talking. They're talking. Some of them are walking, walking around, and the medical system say, okay, we're not going to spend any more resources on you. We're not even going to try. So, so for some of our clients, we are their last hope. We're their very last hope, and it's absolutely stunning. It's stunning. You know, you don't believe that humans can be this cold. Uh, and I know it's about money, and that's why I say cold. I know that there are good people out there, practitioners, but um, the system could be better.
The system could be better. There's a lot. It's a very
It could be kinder. The system could be more kind, empathic,
well,
and
but then, you know, especially in America, and I think this hurts, is that America is a very litigious country. There's way more suing of all sorts of people for all sorts of reasons than you find in other countries, and it does suing does there are economists who will say that the way that we use law in this country really inhibits our growth as a country and the development in the way that our civilization should be moving. So I could see where the medical industry has really, really been built around avoiding legal problems
yeah,
rather than around
that's
building
true.
building love and empathy and kindness.
It started about 30,
Um,
40 years ago. The Congress made laws to, and the FDA adopted the laws, and it pretty much said to doctors, if you don't recommend nutrition, not going to get sued. If you don't discuss nutrition with your clients, you're not going to get sued. If you just go by what the lab reports say and don't go beyond and discuss things that you're not sure about, wasn't tested for at the detail molecular level or microscopic level, you won't get sued. So, in other words, don't be a doctor, be indifferent. You know, if someone comes in and they have heart disease, like I've seen every day, they have heart disease or heart failure, but they also have kidney disease. And the doctors don't even pay attention to the kidney disease. They're just focusing on the heart. They have other issues. The doctors don't bother to focus on their issues because this is the one thing you come to them for. And they're going to give you the answers they have that are legally protected. So they're not going to tell you have kidney disease and do nothing about it, and then you go back and sue them, or we go back and sue them. They're not going to tell you you have this lump or this thing here that potentially cancerous because they're focusing on your headache. Because if they tell you and don't do something about it, you could sue them. You could say, "Oh, you malpractice because you didn't tell me I have this thing, and you knew it was there." But if they say nothing, they don't have a responsibility to you at all. At all. I should say us.
Well, that's where our integrative consulting practice comes in, is that whether you ask for it or not, it's what we're doing. Because
We have no choice.
well, yeah, because we're not going to sell you our products without you understanding what we're hoping to accomplish for your health and in your body. And we are often helping you deal with the ins and outs of these experiences and help you understand what your doctor may or may not be saying. And ultimately, what you just need to be doing for yourself anyway. And we can point out things in your labs that maybe your doctor won't. And again, your doctor may not, because probably think of the thousands of people they work with who don't plan on making any life changes at all. They don't plan on doing anything. They're just waiting for you to give them whatever medication you can. So why are they going to waste their time? They don't know that you would be open to making changes. And again, it's just not their profession, it's not what they studied, and it's not what they practice. That's up to you to ask for it and find it in your life, and we're here to happily provide it. So that's why we host this Q&A. That's why we have our consulting practice, and that's why we make our formulas to work with the reality of the laws that govern how our bodies work rather than that are easier to market or make a bigger profit, or we can mass produce to sell all over the world. We really just want to make a product that can truly help you, and then work with one person at a time and hopefully spread just through word of mouth, which has been the
Hmm.
case since we came off the radio like 3 years ago.
And before that, for,
Right.
mhm.
But we were on the radio, so it was a little hard to tell. But now that we've been off the radio for so long, we know that word of mouth is what helps new species continue to thrive, and it's a win-win because we can, as long as we're helping people, then they tell other people, and we love it that way.
So let's wrap it up. Wrap it up like this. We're almost at the end of the time. What we're saying in a nutshell is that you have to take care of yourselves at home. You have to eat well. You have to exercise. Go for your walks. You have to drink the right amount of water. And if you have health issues and you're on medication, you are also responsible for yourselves. So you get prescribed the medication, you take the medication, you get dizziness and weakness. You should tell your doctor. If your doctor does nothing about it, then you need to find a new doctor. You need to keep shopping. You know, like my grandmother would say, you go to the store, you buy a pair of shoes, and you didn't try them on, but you take them home and you try them on and they squeeze your foot. You're not going to wear them. You're going to take them back, right? So it's just like anything, even NuSpecies. We don't work for you. Find somebody else who can work for you. But in a nutshell, you have to take full responsibility for yourselves. And we at NuSpecies will contribute. The doctors will contribute. You have to be the manager, the executive of your health and your life, just as how you are for your children and your life in other ways. So when it comes to your health, you have to be the executive manager of your health. And we here will guide you, will help. The doctors can guide you and help the best they can. But you ultimately have to take responsibility, because when you come down to the end where the body is broken down, what we have seen every day are people who wish they had done more with their health at home. That's what we say every day.
And we'd love for you to support your family and support us this season by
Yes.
anyone you can possibly buy the gift of health for, rather than something else that is just going to add into the consumerist society and all the stuff that we say impacts our healthcare and our happiness and our fulfillment, especially here in America. Let's just maybe take action on what we believe and say, I'm going to give a meaningful gift this year. And it's fine if it's not NuSpecies. Maybe you're going to hand make
It
something.
should be
But we would love it,
NuSpecies.
especially if you're like trying to get people around you to be open to NuSpecies. A lot of times money is just the barrier.
The
They just
gift of
don't want to
health. The gift
spend
of health.
they just don't want to spend money on something that they're not they don't fully understand. So
Don't value.
the best way to help them understand is to have them just take it. So like the B vitamins, it lasts for 3 months, so you're paying, I don't know, like 18 or $19 a month in the end, which you're probably spending on other on other supplements that are nowhere near as good. So I'd say like the B vitamins, they don't taste bad. They really make you feel good, and they're very effective. So it's a great entry product for
Mhm.
NuSpecies. So that's a great gift to give to your loved ones this year. And it supports us. And like we do this show for free. We do a lot of education for free. And we are hoping that it helps you continue to spread the word as well about NuSpecies, because we believe that when our clients are successful, that's how we're successful. We don't want to be doing this if we're not helping people. And so we'd love you to help us continue to spread the word. And sometimes just giving that gift of health is the best way to spread the word. Just cut out all the explaining, cut out all the ignorance defying conversations, and just the proof is in the pudding, as we've said from day one. Let them try it. And lastly, I want to wrap up with, and if you're watching on Instagram and we're going to go over an hour soon, it might cut us off. So if you want to switch over to YouTube, you can. But I will say that we had a little blast from the past this morning, and this is not relevant to your health at all. But if you've been around with NuSpecies for years, you might appreciate this story. So my sister calls us this morning and says, Jillian, I have this desk. I think you guys gave it to me. I'm pretty sure it was Aston's desk, and we're rearranging my house, and we're gonna get rid of it. And I feel like you told me if we're ever gonna get rid of it to call you first. So I wanted you to check with Aston. So I'm like, Aston, my sister's asking about this desk. He's like, oh, I don't remember. I'm like, you don't remember the desk that had like the rounded edge and you sat at it? That's like my only memories of Aston from the beginning days of NuSpecies, sitting at that desk. He never left that desk. And he's like, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. And I'm like, okay, Post-it City lived on the shelf underneath this desk, and he was like, oh, Post-it City. So Post-it City was, we were getting so many phone calls back in those early days, and we just couldn't keep up with it. All of us who were answering the phones would write the messages on Post-it notes, and then he just had like an empty binder, and he'd just stick all the Post-it notes inside this binder, and he had them on the little shelf
Messages.
under this desk, and I called it Post-it City. And he was like, oh my God, I remember now that was my desk from law school. Essen has had this cheap, silly little desk.
Don't call my little desk cheap and silly. It took me through law school and gave me a law degree.
It's made of particle board, but it's what you can afford when you're in law school.
Right.
So this desk followed him through law school.
Cheap. I bought it at Costco or one of those places.
Yeah.
It was cheap. Yeah.
And then it's like the thing I think about when I think of early NuSpecies days. Aston sitting at that desk with Post-it City on the shelf underneath, and he used it upstairs, then he used it downstairs, and we had it forever. And then once he started going down, when we opened our stores and he went down to the stores, he really didn't use it much anymore. So we had given it to my sister, who now all these years later is reminding us that it still exists, which is incredible. So we're taking that desk back, and we will find a loving place for it.
I want it back.
Yeah. It's really exciting. Okay, that was it. I know.
Oh boy.
Thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, Cleveland, for that beautiful statement, and June for all your support, and everyone else on here, Joyce, and with all your lovely comments. We love your feedback. Obviously, we prefer wonderful feedback, but if you have anything else, we always want to be better. So if you have any other feedback for us on our articles that we're writing, Aston's been posting a lot of articles.
Right. So give me 30 seconds, folks. Go to NuSpecies.com blog, go to the blog, and we have some articles up there. Some of them are scientific, and they're scientific because we now are speaking to the world, not just to our community, our intimate NuSpecies family. So we have some scientific articles, plow through them. And if you have any questions, let us know. But we also have other articles that are very informative about our products, our vitamins, our minerals, and how they work, and how they work to help the genes and DNA. Like we've talked about it for years. So go up there and take your time, get a cup of tea, and try to get through them.
Absolutely. Or just take some time slowly over. And we're posting all these articles because we want, when you interact with our little AI chatbot on our website, that it understands the spirit and the science behind NuSpecies and who we are as a brand. And hopefully that little bot there can try to represent us accurately. But if you interact with the bot, we're curious to see if it pulls up things from our blog post. We've been testing it, but again, this is just part of helping folks spread the word and learn more about us. So it would be cool if you played around with it and told us what it told you, and if you liked it.
I'm happy you mentioned the bot, because if you come across a term that we use in our articles or otherwise, even we're speaking to you live now, and the term doesn't make any sense, you can always go to the bot and ask about what it means. I think it will give you an explanation of all those scientific terms that are used. And I use the scientific terms to keep things authentic, because some words you just can't, there are no other words for them to explain the logic, the true meaning, the true essence of what you're saying. You can't use another word, because if you do, the world is going to come at you with a ton of bricks and say, oh, he's ignorant, he doesn't know what he's talking about. So certain words have to be used because it's the only scientific word that can be used for that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So just ask, our bot to define it for you. Our AI, you can go to the AI and the internet and ask it to define it for you. And I'm sure it will. Yeah.
Right. Well, nonstop education over here. We're gonna work your brains hard on a Saturday morning.
Well, that's today. So next week, let's go back to our regular Q&A.
We're starting to think that maybe y'all don't want to ask questions and you just want to hear us talk. Could that be true? Could that be possible?
Let us know.
Because we're happy to do pre-recorded videos of topics. We come on live on a Saturday to answer your questions. You can submit your questions in advance, though. So if you just can't remember what the heck you wanted to ask, just go to our apps, download NuSpecies app. It's free off of your app store on your phone, and you can submit a question anytime throughout the week, and then we can prepare an answer for the show we're happy to do that as well.
And if you want us to just come on and talk about the different disease conditions, their genesis and how they proliferate in the body, and what you can do at home to help them to get better or to go away, we can do that as well, if that will trigger you to ask more questions, because I think that's what you actually want.
Yeah, and outside of the standards we put into our products, which we will never change or compromise, everything else about NuSpecies is here to serve you. So we're always following your lead and what you need from us to make sure we're being as effective as possible to get you the results that you need. So we have literally upended our operation, our training materials, our infrastructure of how we train our team and how our team answers the phone. I mean, every aspect of our business constantly evolves to meet your needs. So we're really here taking the lead from you, and that's why we come on live on
Hmm.
Saturday mornings, because it's like a data mining for us to find out what you're thinking, what matters to you, how we can serve you better. So everything we do at NuSpecies is about serving you. And so without your feedback, we're going to kind of guess, and we may or may not hit the mark. So that's what we're doing here. For every aspect of our company is malleable to your needs,
Yes,
truthfully. So
absolutely.
you just got to tell us what's going on, and then we're going to do that because we want to keep growing. We want to reach more people. We want to be we want to be strong, powerful, effective, like our products. We'd like to be that for you in our services. So please continue to spread the word about this Q&A and about NuSpecies. Share it through holiday gifts if you can, and we'll keep creating literature that hopefully will better explain these species and our products so that you can just pass those out. But we could do a lot of things. We'd just rather do the things that make your life easier. So we'd love your feedback. On that note, if you are on our text list or our email list, you can always reply to any of those and let us know what you're thinking at any time. You can join those on the homepage of our website. You can join our rewards program on the homepage of our website, where you can earn a point for every dollar you spend. That helps you get discounts whenever you qualify for them, and you don't have to wait for us to give them to everybody to get them. So we would love you to join the rewards program and then download our app and be here with us on the Q&A. We thank you so much for your support, and we love talking to you every Saturday, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
Bye bye.